I'm against the burqa purely because Australia has a law. We need to abide by that law. It's very relevant to show one's face. It shows your expression. We know what people are thinking and feeling that day. It needs to be banned in all government buildings, and that's it. In Mecca, by law there, when women do the pilgrimage, they must show their face. Right? It is not demanding to be demanded here in this country. It's ridiculous. So it's important to show your face, and if you want to contribute to society, you need to do that.
That being said, you can imagine, or you'd understand, that people would look at your position standing for one nation,
right,
and would look at that with a great deal of surprise.
Well, one nation isn't against Islam, it's against terrorism, and anyone in their right mind will be against terrorists. So
that would be your response.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What is an Islamic woman doing standing in
because I'm a believer of having Australia is for Australians first and foremost. It's like China is for the Chinese. Yeah.
And so that's a message you're going to send to the election of Hornsby.
I am. You can have your religion. There is a law that you need to follow, and it's the Australian law. And no one is invading, trying to change other people's laws in their country. We're not interested in that. We just want everybody to abide by ours.
Well, I think voters should vote number one for one nation. That's what we're seeking, primary votes around the state. In terms of preference swaps, particularly in the upper house, for minor parties, that's as natural as the sun coming up in the morning. It's hardly surprising the minor parties would be swapping preferences. If we don't do that, we stay minor. So to have a chance, obviously you want to get some preferences in a system, particularly in the upper house, where preferences are allocated.
So you're happily swapping with the shooters then, and see no issue with that. As I say, the government is trying to turn that as a weapon against Labor.
Yeah, well, we're separate parties. We don't have the same policy on gun control as the shooters. I'm a big supporter of the Port Arthur Agreement, which has kept Australia free of public massacres now for 23 years, and that makes us very different to the United States. We need to ensure that there is sensible gun control, and from a One Nation perspective, our biggest worry, and indeed a public worry, would be if terrorists got hold of semi-automatic weapons. That's completely undesirable and something we've got to guard against. So Australia's got to stay different to the United States, and that's One Nation policy.
Who does it demonstrate a more worry here? Is it Labor because they're doing these deals, or is it the Liberal Party because they're jumping up and down about it?
Well, neither of them give preferences to One Nation, and we don't give preferences to them. Our view is that Labor and Liberal are as bad as each other. They both failed in different ways for the people of New South Wales. They'll go off and do their own preference arrangements as well. Labor obviously swapping preferences with the shooters in some of the country electorates, and the government will swap preferences with the Christian Democrats, Fred Nile, in electorates as well. So that doesn't make those parties identical. We need to be sensible about this and understand that preferences in our democratic system are part of the process.
So when it comes to conservative views, right-wing conservative views, it's a bit of a pick and choose, isn't it, by the Liberal Party here? They're doing deals with Nile, potentially with the Liberal Democrats.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, I think Perrottet needs to be honest about that reality. He's trying to run a scare campaign. I understand he's also saying that after the election they wouldn't be dealing with any party if they're in a minority situation in the Legislative Assembly. Well, Dominic, pull the other leg, mate. It plays jingle bells. That's just not realistic. Every major party says that before polling day and does exactly the opposite after the election, and this will be no different.
So as much as Perrottet has looked down the barrel of the camera today and said, no, it's not going to happen, he can't be believed.
No, the people of New South Wales know it happens every time. The Greiner government in minority did dealings with minor parties. You saw Tony Abbott and Julia Gillard in 2010 federally. We've seen it in Queensland. It'll happen, and New South Wales will be no different.
You're set for the upper house?
Well, I'm running. I'm hoping to be elected and also run a strong One Nation effort right across New South Wales. We've got great candidates like Emma here in Hornsby and in 5 other electorates now, so we're hoping to make an impact in the lower house, where it would be great to have the balance of power, and also in the upper house, where we're going to make sure we're a blocker against madness, such as the Energy Minister wanting to legislate carbon emission targets which would drive up electricity prices.
And I gather with the balance of power, cutting immigration would be just about number one on
Yeah, we've got a plan to contain Sydney's growth. Sydney's growing out of control, 100,000 extra people a year. You can't keep that up. And in New South Wales, there's a unique opportunity, back-to-back state-federal elections. So a vote for One Nation is to cut the immigration level and put in planning restrictions on areas that are clearly overdeveloped and can't cope.